Hello students, I will be talking about alcohol. Alcohol in the form of ethanol is known to mankind for 8,000 years. It is consumed in the form of beverages which is formed by fermentation of different vegetables, grains or fruits. As the classification shows, alcohol there are three different types of alcohols: ethanol, methanol or ethylene glycol. Medically, they are of less significance, but by consumption of certain beverages, they produce different pharmacological effects on certain different organs. So we are going to cover in this chapter these pharmacological effects and what detrimental effects these beverages can produce at different levels. For example, in acute intoxication or in chronic intoxication, what happens as they are CNS depressant drugs or produce sedative hypnotic drugs. So they have some kind of physical or psychological dependence and tolerance. So we're gonna little bit talk about what these effects are that are produced. Ethanol is a small water soluble molecule that is that falls in the category of a CNS depressant. It causes psychological as well as physical dependence, and there is a tolerance to its effect also. Being a Muslim, our religion does not permit consumption of such beverages, but more than 75% of the West and other societies regularly consumes such beverages or alcohol containing products, and this bears a lot of medical or socio-economical pressures on the medical system, like drinking and driving, which causes a lot of accidents, swear falls. If a woman consumes during a pregnancy, then it is a very severe anomalies for the fetus. So such effects are although less common in our part of society, but they are more common in West and other areas of the society. So it is important to know what this causes and how it causes it. So as per pharmacological reason, the pharmacokinetics of ethanol is very simple. It is, as I've said, the small water soluble molecule, and it completely rapidly absorbs from the GIT. Peak concentration reaches within 30 minutes, peak blood concentrations, as I must say. And the volume of distribution is equal to that of total body water, which is 0.5 to 0.7 liters per kg. But one thing to remember is food delays its emptying. Food delays the emptiness of alcohol. Now, the second important thing to know about alcohol or ethanol is its metabolism. As you know, it follows zero order kinetics by recalling from the chapters from the general pharmacology. Now, main reason is because of the of this diagram. If you look closely, ethanol is converted into acetaldehyde. As this bold arrow shows, this is the major pathway, which is the alcohol dehydrogenase pathway, which requires NAD plus as a cofactor. And the problem is this cofactor is in a limited amount present in the body, and it requires enzyme alcohol dehydrogenase. So as the quantity of alcohol increases in the body, there a point comes where the NADH is no longer produced or available in the liver for the metabolism of ethanol. So what happens is it can it falls into zero order kinetics. So as you know, zero order kinetic constant amount of drug is excreted per unit of time. So the metabolism shifts to a less important microsomal ethanol oxidizing system, which does metabolizes ethanol and requires NADPH as its cofactor and produces NADP positive and water. It has its own difficulties and detrimental or problematic effects. It also leads to acetaldehyde, and these both immediately convert acetaldehyde in the presence of aldehyde dehydrogenase using the cofactor NAD and NADH to acetate. There are two different drugs written. I will explain about them later. But first, importantly, is to remember is alcohol dehydrogenase pathway is the major pathway through which ethanol is metabolized, and this is where the zero order kinetic elimination starts when the NADH is, as it is a limited amount, it gets saturated. So as for acceleration, it is a primary pathway and it involves alcohol dehydrogenase. Mainly it is found in liver and gut. So as I was explaining, okay, for moderate to low alcohol consumption, this primary pathway is utilized. And after that it follows zero order kinetics, which causes constant amount, which is 7 to 10 gram per hour elimination of alcohol. Now alcohol metabolism is lower in women because of differences in total body water and due to differences in first pass effect. So this is one thing to remember, that mainly ethanol is oxidized in the liver, small amount in gut and in kidneys and in lungs. Ethanol converts into acetaldehyde using the cofactor NAD, which is in limited supply in the presence of alcohol dehydrogenase to the in the form of converts into acetaldehyde. Acetaldehyde is converted into acetate immediately in the presence of aldehyde dehydrogenase using the same cofactors NAD or NADH. When these systems are saturated or when heavy consumptions of alcohol is used, then we have microsomal ethanol oxidizing systems, which utilizes cofactor NADPH. This is a bit explanation about microsomal ethanol oxidizing system. So when ethanol levels reaches more than 100 milligram per deciliter, then this system is activated. This system also catalyzes different drug metabolizing reactions, like this phase 1 reactions. So here the question arises, okay, what are the other drugs that other than ethanol that follows phase zero order elimination? These are aspirin, theophylline, warfarin, and some salicylates. So as I was saying, okay, this system utilizes NADPH as a cofactor, and it consists primarily of CYP2E1, 1A2 and 3A4. Main among the three, 2E1 is the main cytochrome for metabolism. And as many other drugs are also metabolizing from such and such cytochromes, so if as acetaminophen when given concurrently and many other drugs like sedative hypnotics produce additive effect. Similarly, acetaminophen given with alcohol may produce a toxic hepatic metabolite. So same is the case. Acetaldehyde, which is formed, is rapidly metabolized to acetate by aldehyde dehydrogenase. Aldehyde dehydrogenase is a mitochondrial enzyme in the liver and many other tissues. Now, as I was saying, aldehyde dehydrogenase is inhibited by disulfiram and alcohol dehydrogenase by fompizole. So I'm going to be explaining about these two when the in the treatment section. Now, one thing is worth mentioning here: some East Asian descendants who had genetic deficiency of mitochondrial form of aldehyde dehydrogenase enzyme of aldehyde dehydrogenase enzyme. So what happens is, okay, these individuals have accumulation of acetaldehyde. So when, as I was saying, okay, when some East Asian population have deficiency of aldehyde dehydrogenase enzyme decrease or deficiency. So what happens is, okay, there is accumulation of acetaldehyde in the body. So what happens is, when there is accumulation of acetaldehyde in the body, there are different symptoms are produced, namely facial flushing, nausea, vomiting, dizziness, and headache. What are these symptoms? Nausea, vomiting, dizziness, headache, and facial flushing, or you can say whatever the sequence you want to. Now, these effects are similar to the effect produced by disulfiram. Disulfiram is the drug which is used in ethanol programs or ethanol treatment programs. When disulfiram is given with ethanol, these symptoms of facial flushing, nausea, vomiting, dizziness, and headache are produced. But in some Eastern Asian individuals who are lacking alcohol dehydrogenase enzyme have the same symptoms. Now, briefly, I'm going to explain to you what are the acute effects or acute pharmacological effects of ethanol. Now, as you know, sedation, loss of inhibition, impaired judgment, slurred speech, and ataxia are common effects of acute alcoholic intoxication. Sedation, commonly as a CNS depressant, loss of inhibition, impaired judgment, slurred speech, and ataxia. Now, at different, what happens at different alcohol levels? Acute, at if we want to measure an acute alcohol intoxication, at 50 to 100 milligram. This is an important thing to remember. Different aspects or different at different levels of alcohol consumption. What happens actually at 50 to 100 milligram per deciliter? A person feels sedative, subjection of high feeling, and slow reaction times. At a little higher consumption, like 100 to 200 milligram, motor functions are impaired, speech is impaired, and there is ataxia. At a scale 200 to 300, then there is vomiting and stupor. Most people go into coma at 300 to 400 milligram per deciliter of consumption level. But if a person somehow reaches above that threshold, like for more than 400 milligram per deciliter, then immediately in acute form, in acute phase, that same individual can go into respiratory depression and death. Usually, most individuals face go into coma phase at a level of 300 to 400. But if somehow some individual passes that threshold, then at certain level of 500, 400 to 500 milligram per deciliter, that person will face respiratory depression and death. Now, a little bit about signaling mechanism. Two major systems are affected by the alcohol consumption. One is it facilitates GABA via GABA A receptors, and next it inhibits excitatory glutamate via inhibiting NMDA receptors. So how it does? It inhibits glutamate, and glutamate, which contains NMDA as a part of it, is also inhibited. And certain other ion channels like phospholipase C, adenyl cyclase, and ion channels are also inhibited. In acute form, if consumed acutely, there are two other effects of one. Number one was CNS. We have shown at 50 to 400 what happens. At 50, we are subjecting of high or feeling of uh, good feeling, you can say, but the reaction times are slowed a little higher, like 100 to 200. The motor functions are impaired, speech is impaired, and motor functions are impaired. At still higher, then there is emesis, vomiting and stupor. 300 to 400, comma, and then respiratory depression and death. Next to acute organs are acutely organs affected are heart and smooth muscles. Depressed contractility of heart and smooth muscles, there is vasodilation and marked hypothermia. So a bit introduction about acute consumption, and now I have chronic consequences. There are different types of chronic consequences of alcohol consumption. Importantly, number one, as expected, tolerance and dependence. There is also cross tolerance with other sedatives and hypnotics like benzodiazepines. In liver, starting from fatty liver to the liver cirrhosis, hepatitis, and ultimately liver failure. In the GIT, there is inflammation, peptic ulceration, and there is increased risk of hepatitis. CNS. In CNS, peripheral neuropathy, and there is a very important but rare condition related to chronic alcohol consumption known as Wernicke-Korsakoff syndrome, which is only treated by thiamine and is characterized by ataxia, confusion, and paralysis of extraocular muscles. So, how it is treated? Wernicke-Korsakoff syndrome by parenteral thiamine, and this also prevents Korsakoff psychosis, which is a permanent damage to the memory. So these are the simple things to remember. Number one, tolerance and dependence and cross tolerance do occur. Then we have GIT. In GIT, we have different bleeding, peptic ulceration, and increased risk of pancreatitis. Liver, it may lead from fatty liver to hepatitis and ultimately liver cirrhosis. Then we have CNS, peripheral neuropathy, and a serious and rare condition known as Wernicke-Korsakoff syndrome, ataxia, confusion, and paralysis of extraocular muscles, which is treated by using of thiamine or vitamin B. So, and it also prevents from Korsakoff psychosis. As far as endocrine system is concerned, it may lead to testicular atrophy, gynecomastia, and salt retention because of steroid altered metabolism. In CVS, most commonly hypertension, arrhythmias, cardiomyopathy, and anemia. But if consumed in a low amount, it may increase HDL level and improve heart conditions. In the quantities are 10 to 15 grams per day raises serum levels of HDL cholesterol and protects against coronary heart diseases. So the thing I was telling you about, if a pregnant lady consumes alcohol regularly in a high amount, it may lead to fetal alcohol syndrome. The fetus born will have microcephaly, mental retardation, or intrauterine growth retardation, and different deficiencies, and would have underdeveloped mid-face region. So it is a very serious condition, and mental retardation, as it says, is the most common form, So abstinence from alcohol consumption during pregnancy is very important. Although the risk of neoplasia or tumors is not as greatly increased, but there's still a little bit increase in the tumors of GIT and breast cancer. It has a little bit a very complex and a little bit effect on the immune system, enhances inflammation in the liver and pancreas, while inhibits immune function in other tissues. And its heavy use, chronic consumption of alcohol may lead to infectious pneumonia. Now, these were the acute and chronic pharmacological effects, or you can say, or consequences of alcohol consumption. In acute form, CNS, both in acute and chronic form, and then heart. In heart, it causes depressed vasodilation in acute form in smooth muscles. But there are nine different pharmacological effects in chronic consumption, starting from CNS to endocrine, GIT, liver, and almost most of the systems are affected by it. Now, if a person wants to refrain or wants to get out of this filthy habit, how do you do that? Now, in case of acute and chronic intoxication, yeah, chronic alcoholism, the treatments are usually the same in both basic treatments. Number one, acute ethanol intoxication managed by maintenance of vital signs. Aspiration of vomiting should be prevented. Dextrose is important, and thiamine administration to protect against Wernicke-Korsakoff syndrome. Then we have correction of electrolyte imbalance. Now these are the basic treatment options. Then we have specific like disulfiram, ecamprosate, and other, which I will explain a bit later. Now, alcohol withdrawal syndrome. Alcohol withdrawal syndrome is a syndrome in which characterized by insomnia, and there is tremor and anxiety. And if a person suddenly stops, a chronic alcoholic who suddenly stops taking alcohol, then is he faces certain issues or problems. Initially, these are insomnia, tremors, and anxiety. But these may lead to some of the life threatening issues of seizures and delirium tremens. Delirium tremens is a complex of basically a different kind of altered mental state, sympathetic or autonomic hyperactivity, and certain other issues which collectively form delirium tremens. With these are the both seizures and delirium tremens are life-threatening conditions, and some of the peripheral effects like nausea, vomiting, diarrhea, and arrhythmias. So these the mainstay of this treatment is long-acting benzodiazepines like diazepam and chlordiazepoxide. These are both are long-acting benzodiazepines. These are preferred ones. But in case if there is suspicion of liver damage or there is a liver disease or cirrhosis, then it should be shifted to a short-acting benzodiazepines, for example, lorazepam. But main preferred are long-acting benzodiazepines. Other measures or mentionable measures are administration of thiamine, which is of course to get rid of or to save from Wernicke-Korsakoff syndrome, and an electrolyte imbalance. Now, alcoholism, same, is a complex socio-economical problem, and it leads to large number of accidents, falls, pathological falls, or certain life-threatening falls, and different other socio-economical aspects of life. So, to decrease the craving of alcohol, so remember there are three drugs to decrease the craving. Naltrexone, which is an opioid antagonist, remember naltrexone is an opioid antagonist that can be used to reduce alcohol craving. Two other drugs which are used also are ondansetron and topiramate. They are also used to decrease alcohol craving. While another fourth drug is acamprosate, which is an NMDA antagonist, is used as a maintenance therapy in case of alcohol abstinence. So, in case alcohol, a person has abstained from alcohol for a longer period of time, he can be put on to acamprosate, which is an NMDA receptor antagonist, as a maintenance therapy. Now, the last drug is disulfiram. Now remember, disulfiram is only useful when given in psychological dependence. It is contraindicated in physical dependence. So same as with the Eastern Asian individuals, as inhibits alcohol dehydrogenase, and acetaldehyde is accumulated in the body. It produces different symptoms like flushing, headache, vomiting, visual disturbances, mental confusion. So when alcohol in combination with disulfiram is given, such uh, undesirable effects are produced. So a person usually has a person when taken who takes disulfiram with alcohol develops disregard or distaste for alcohol, and this is just a way to different programs in which these drugs are used and due to acetaldehyde accumulation. Now this was all for the ethanol, and methanol is known as wood alcohol. It is a constituent of windshield cleaner and canned heat. Now it is metabolized to, I wanted to show you, okay, methanol is metabolized to formaldehyde and formic acid, which produces severe acidosis and retinal damage. Similarly, if you look at the ethyl glycol pathway, in the presence of alcohol dehydrogenase, it is converted to oxalic acid, which also leads to acidosis and nephrotoxicity. So it causes severe acidosis, retinal damage, and blindness. Mainly, it causes retinal damage and blindness along with severe acidosis. And if intoxication leads to same visual disturbances, GI disturbances, and ultimately to coma. How it is treated? It is treated by initially gastric lavage if that individual or patient is presented early. Sodium bicarbonate to treat acidosis. Ethanol is useful because it competitively inhibits the conversion of methanol to formic acid. So it competes for the enzyme ethanol, and ethanol is also used as a antidote for methanol poisoning because it competitively inhibits the conversion of methanol to formic acid. Fompizole, a specific inhibitor of alcohol dehydrogenase. Similarly, folic acid and folinic acid are also given, which enhances conversion of formic acid to carbon dioxide. This is how it was shown. Fompizole, inhibitor of alcohol dehydrogenase, is used in methanol or ethylene glycol poisoning to slow the rate of formation of toxic metabolites. It slows the rate of formation of toxic metabolites from pizole. And ethanol, it has higher affinity for alcohol dehydrogenase than ethylene glycol or methanol. Also shows the formation of toxic metabolites that alternate to form pizole. So lastly, ethylene glycol, it is used as a solvent and as the antifreeze industry, also known as coolant. It leads to, when intoxicated or when ingested, it leads to severe acidosis and renal damage, acute tubular necrosis, and other renal issues or failures maybe. From it forms the metabolite oxalic acid, and it is also treated by IV fompizole or ethanol. So both of methanol and ethylene glycol are treated with IV fompizole as they inhibit alcohol dehydrogenase, and ethanol competitively uh, inhibits from methanol conversion to its toxic metabolites. Thank you.